Hey everybody, what's going on? So Firewatch has been out for a while now, and I was always interested in playing it. I've heard great things over the years, and just never got around to it. It was released in 2016, and then later released for the Switch in late 2018. And so I finally did get around to playing it, and yeah, so let's just get right into it. This game was such a relaxing time, just from beginning to end. Everything you do in the game is done in a very subdued manner, and it has a very peaceful spirit to it all. You mostly spend the game walking around the forest, making your way towards your different objectives and exploring all the different locations of the map. It has some really soothing music that will play from time to time that was really nice to listen to. I would have liked some more of the music, but at the same time, I think it was just the perfect amount of it because the lack of music at times also added to just the immersion of this, forest you were walking in and the realism of sort of just listening to nature and not much else. And what you're mostly doing on these walks and throughout all of the game really is talking on your walkie-talkie with this woman named Delilah.
Yeah, that's what the guy said on the phone.
So, what's wrong with you?
Excuse me?
People take this job to get away from something. So, what's wrong?
What's wrong with you?
Who you're playing as is this man named Henry, and he took a job as the fire lookout at this national forest, after his wife got sick and she had to move away and be taken care of by her parents. The opening of this game, has that backstory about his wife, and it has some really strong, emotional elements to it, as you not only learn about the backstory, but you also get to choose a bit of that backstory. It gives you some options of what maybe you think happened or what you wanted to happen between them. And from right in that opening montage, there was some pretty serious moments in this game. Like I said, the opening was certainly tragic enough on its own with his wife getting sick, but also as Henry and Delilah became closer over time, their conversations became a lot more personal and really led to some strong character development between the two of them, and also developed this bond between them that, made it much more realistic in terms of their friendship and their closeness with one another.
You didn't break anything, did you?
No, I think I'll make it.
Well, be careful for Christ's sake.
Who Delilah actually reminded me a lot of, looking back on the game, was Scarlett Johansson's character in Her. Not in the sense of, Henry and Delilah's relationship, but in the sense that she felt fully realized, and thinking back on the game, I can almost see her as an actual person. It does feel like I was communicating with the actual person and not just communicating over the phone, basically over the walkie-talkie. You get a few different glimpses at Henry, and as a character himself, he's sort of interesting. You do get to choose what he says to Delilah in their conversations, and while I don't think there was a ton of variety between the dialogue options you get, I thought it did add some weight, and to everything going on, it just felt like you had a little bit more control over where the story was going, even if maybe you didn't really, but it does make you feel like you do.
It doesn't seem that dangerous. Whoa, whoa! Oh, no!
Henry!
Seriously, it's completely fine in here.
God damn it.
And so yeah, there's not a seriously, heavy plot to this, but I don't think that's too much of a problem. This was definitely more exploration based and sort of just, like a simplistic adventure that you're on, and it doesn't really have to be much more than that. There are a few things that you do in the game aside from just, walking and talking, but really not too much. There are some objects that you can interact with and notes that you can read, but for the most part, this is just a visceral story, through and through. The game isn't asking you to do too much. It's mostly just trying to get you from point A to point B, and even though there's not too much aside from that, it's just a simple game, and I really did like the simplicity of it all. But yeah, so I did put that mild spoiler warning at the start because I just don't really know how to talk about this game fully without just mentioning a few spoilery things, but I'm not going to say anything, too specific. So most of the game's story really has this strong build-up, just over and over again, and this added intrigue about what's going on and if there's something bigger at play here, and it definitely brings up a lot of questions of trust. It was probably the strongest aspect of the game, actually, because while it mostly is relaxing and pleasant, I think the hope that there's some big payoff in the end is going to be a big element for many people playing that is keeping their interest alive up to this point and towards the end of the game. But nothing significant ever happens. There is a story reveal though. It does give you answers to the questions that you have, the questions that it's been giving you up to this point, but it certainly wasn't this huge payoff. and that's actually perfectly okay in my opinion. I think it's a sign of great storytelling that it had me just so invested and so convinced that there was some huge like conspiracy going on, and it made this very like small, quaint, and peaceful forest and this peaceful game, you know, feel like it had some kind of evil just lurking somewhere in the shadows. So hats off to them for that. You know, I give them credit for really making me believe that there was some serious things at play here. And so yeah, I do think a lot of people are going to be disappointed with the lack of some big flashy ending, but that kind of ending is real, and it's nice to see every once in a while. You know, sometimes there's not a huge agenda at play. You know, sometimes of course there definitely are, but it's pretty nice when something just is what it is. You know, no real rhyme or reason to it all. And I do get it, you know, this is a game, so why not leave like real stories to the real world to give us something a little bit more entertaining? And you know, aside from personal preference, which is, you know, what everything ultimately comes down to, I think telling a realistic story like this with a real ending is just as powerful as one that, you know, fits that entertainment mold that we're usually looking for, and trying to find some big twist, you know, to satisfy us, some kind of interesting ending that we're all looking for. But in a way, I actually felt like the big twist of Firewatch was that there was no twist, and I was pretty happy about that. So yeah, that's all for this one. I know I've been playing a lot of older games, but it's actually kind of hard to find new games right now, and there's just so many older ones that I never got around to, so I'll probably just keep trying to have like a sort of mix between the old and the new, and yeah, so you know, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to catch you in the next one.